Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Yesterday was a crazy day for stimulus, and today is starting like an extension of yesterday. We also have a newly released outline of what's going to be included in the $908 billion plan, which I will review in this video, and we'll get some insights into rental relief. This is going to be very interesting. All right, let's get right into this. Of course, after mentioning that you should get 4 totally free stocks with Webull, deposit $100 with Webull, use that link down below. They will give you 4 free stocks worth at minimum $21 and worth up to $1,600. Also get your life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. Okay, yesterday, Republicans took the $908 billion bipartisan stimulus proposal and jointly counteroffered it with a $916 billion stimulus proposal. This is jointly approved by Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, and Secretary Mnuchin. And in terms of top-line numbers, this is actually a huge step because it takes Mitch McConnell from, we're going to do a $500 billion deal, $500 to $600 billion deal is the proposal he outlined, all the way up to $916 billion. However, Mitch McConnell's package does include $600 stimulus checks to qualifying adults, which is more than zero from the $908 billion package, and those would likely go to the same adults who qualified last time, along with $600 checks to children. So that would likely, again, leave out college students and adult dependents. Now, to pay for these checks, McConnell's plan removes the $300 per week boost for the unemployed. This means we're likely $140 billion apart from a deal between Republicans and Democrats if we somehow get this unemployment boost added back in. After all, Republicans and Democrats seemed like they were all finally on the same page with saying, hey, let's give a $300 per week boost for the unemployed for 16 weeks. But that has now been removed in the Republican plan, which has pissed off Nancy Pelosi, who yesterday called it absolutely unacceptable that we need the $300 per week boost. Joe Manchin says, look, we just need to pick one and get it done. This is a down payment. Let's get it done. This is not a do-all, end-all bill. We'll do more in January. Well, at the same time as Joe Manchin says, let's just get something done because, look, we've only got 8 working days left before the government shuts down on the 18th. That's our deadline to get this done. We've already extended it many times. Mitch McConnell is over in the Senate going on basically a tirade. He is complaining that at every turn, Democrats have delayed, deflected, moved the goalposts, and made a huge number of places where Congress agrees turn into a hostage of a few places where we do not. He went on to say that Democrats are unserious, and by being unserious and holding up this negotiation, they're holding up money for the unemployed. Yet Democrats say this is ironic, Mitch McConnell, because you're the one who's stripping the unemployment boost from the unemployed workers. Now, despite Mitch McConnell's ranting, he did state on his way into the Senate that he is looking for a way forward, but then again, he's been looking for a way forward for the last, since August. At the same time, we know that there are 2 paths forward. The $908 billion deal without stimulus checks, but $300 in unemployment for 16 weeks. And then this plan, of course, would require coming to a deal on state and local government issues in terms of $160 billion worth of pay for state and local governments and liability protections. Senator John Thune says the $160 billion in aid for state and local governments is leading Republicans to, quote, bleed votes, as many Republicans do not support state and local government aid. Democrats say this aid is critical for vaccine distribution along with other COVID relief. Alternatively, now we've got this $916 billion deal, which does have the $600 stimulus checks, but no $300 in unemployment boost. This plan, though, seems to include a compromise on state and local government funding and liability protections, which the $906 billion package does not indicate. However, thus far, neither package has an actual written bill, and we have 8 days left to go from these 2 proposals to let's pick one proposal, finalize it, make amendments to it, actually turn that into a bill, get the Congressional Budget Office to review it, get legal review on it, then vote on it in each of the chambers of Congress, and then get the president to sign it for it to actually become law. You got 8 days left to do that. Get your life insurance. You could get that in 5 minutes, not 8 days. Jeez. All right. Now, we do finally have a full outline on what the $908 billion package entails, and it does also give us some insights into rental relief, which will be very interesting. So let's go ahead and pull this up. We won't spend too much time on this, but let's go ahead and hit the outline here really quickly. So we know we've got $160 billion here for state and local government aid. Not a lot of details in the $908 billion plan here. This is still going to be an issue up here. We've got the unemployment assistance. All pandemic unemployment insurance programs get extended by 16 weeks from their expiration at the end of December. So this means no retroactivity is written into this in terms of the unemployment boost of $300 per week, as we see here, from the end of December into April 2021. That is the way the verbiage is being planned right now. $1 billion for modernizing state systems. PPP program would be $300 billion for small business aid. And you would be eligible for a PPP loan if you have less than 300 or 300 and fewer employees, and you've sustained a 30% revenue loss. That would give you an opportunity to draw on this a PPP loan again. Funding, let's see, also sets aside to ensure that small borrowers and underserved communities get the help they needed, such as for businesses of 10 or fewer employees. You'll have some specific opportunities to get PPP loans. There have been previously talks that people with 10 or fewer employees would be able to get their first PPP loan without any kind of revenue decline necessary. Okay, let's see. Then we've got here business expenses paid for with PPP loan proceeds are tax deductible, consistent with the congressional intent in the CARES Act. That was a sort of a big question mark. Like, hey, if we're getting a free loan here, are the expenses we're spending money on still tax deductible? Is it sort of that double deductibility question? Here they're saying they would be. Okay, let's see. Go on to the next here. We've got lending going to low and minority communities, transportation funding for airports, the public transit system, the Amtrak system or organization, $35 billion going to provider relief funds for healthcare providers. I really want to get to the rental relief portion here, but quickly we'll go through this. $3.42 billion for direct grants on vaccine distribution and development. Probably at this point, mostly we're going to be focused here on vaccine distribution and infrastructure, getting that money out. Here using funds to track basically where COVID is and where we got to get the vaccine to. Testing and tracing, $7 billion for testing and tracing. That's actually more money than what's going for vaccine development and distribution. Again, mostly, presumably here, distribution. Then we've got education funding, $82 billion for K through 12 and higher education. Student loan forbearance would get extended to April 30th. So that currently expires January 31st, and that would get pushed to April 30th. We've got, here we go, rental aid, $25 billion in rental aid. 90% of the funds must be used for payment of rent, rental arrears, utilities, utility arrears, and related housing stability services, with 10% of funds available for housing stability services. Okay, so 90% going to basically back rent, back utilities, and related housing stability services. That's not exactly clear what that would be. That could potentially be related to Section 8, I'm guessing here. I'm not entirely sure what that leftover 10% would be for. But 90% must be for payment of rent, rental arrears, utilities. That's good because we've got a lot of people who are way behind on rent. And when people are behind on rent, that affects landlords as well. And after all, rent doesn't get relieved after you get evicted. That becomes consumer debt. It's kind of like having another credit card bill that you eventually have to pay. So this would help eliminate, sort of extinguish a lot of that behind rent. And the rental eviction moratorium would end January 21st. So basically, you'd have to get all of your rent caught up, basically, in January, using as much of this rental assistance aid as you could to prevent getting evicted. Nutrition, they would increase the SNAP program contribution by 15% for 4 months. $10 billion here to the post office. We've got money for broadband, money for USDA and rural agricultural. We've got money in here for addiction and rental health support. And we have basically no language on liability protections, which that is a big issue. So I'm actually surprised this proposal doesn't include more detail on their version of liability protections. But it does give us some insight into the rental aid section, which is fascinating to see what their expectations are there, 90% going towards things that we're expecting. We've got the extension there of loan forbearance for students and the eviction delay. On COVID, Canada has officially approved the Pfizer vaccine. Cases today are at 220,000 in the United States and with just under 2,600 deaths. So, a lot going on. I expect many more updates today. This is the morning update for us. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. We are now over 1 million subs, and I'm so grateful to all of you. Get your 4 free stocks in your life insurance, and folks, we'll see you in the next video.